I haven't been on a first date in a really long time, but I do kind of miss getting ready with doing my makeup all cute, getting a cute outfit together, thinking about what kind of scrumptious treats I would eat on the date. There are some downsides though. You might have some butterflies in your stomach. You might be getting in your head about the smallest of things. Like, do I really need to remember exactly how embarrassing my laugh was in front of my seventh grade crush that one time right now, brain? As you're trying to hold off a barrage of cringy thoughts, you roll up to the restaurant that you agreed to meet at. Ugh, but on your way over, you can't find parking and head to Parallel Park, and you're so bad at that, but. Okay, well, you're there. Brush it off, okay? Just have a good time. Maybe you'll click, who knows? You take a seat, wait for your date, maybe get a couple drinks at the bar. 5 minutes go by. Now you're staring at the door. You don't want to miss them. 10 minutes go by. You look around. Who in this restaurant looks like this person in the profile? 1 hour goes by, turns into 3, 4. Oh no. I think you've been stood up. And this is where you probably think the fireball comes in, right? Well, not really. So I was recently scrolling on TikTok and I came across this story, a terrifying conspiracy uncovered by podcasters. Now, at first, that seems horrifying, right? And that's what I thought when I initially watched these TikToks and read a few articles on it, but I still had questions and I felt like I didn't have the entire story. Basically, since as early as 2009, the same thing has been happening to women all across the country. They're supposed to go on a date, it falls through, and then they meet another guy after they were stood up. But this guy might have some ulterior motives. Well, I saw that a few podcasts had covered this topic as well, so I decided to give them a listen. Now, these podcasts are from Crime Junkie and Something Was Wrong. I'll link the exact shows in the description here for you. But after researching this, I was like, I kind of want to get all of your opinions on this. So I'm just a little conflicted and I want to know all of your opinions. Let me lay out the story for you. So it was 2012 and Jez was new to Denver. She decides, hey, why don't I just make a Plenty of Fish profile? Maybe it'll help me meet some new people in the area. Now, she was just gonna meet up with this guy for some casual drinks, nothing really intense, okay? So it could go anywhere. It was kind of just a fun date. They decide to go to this restaurant and bar called the Old Chicago. She gets there first. She's like, oh, no biggie, whatever. She checks her phone and he says that he's running late, stuck in traffic. It happens to the best of us, especially after work, so she's like, okay, I'll just kind of hang out. He tells her, hey, I'm just stuck in traffic. I'm on the way. Why don't you just go to the bar, get us a couple shots of Fireball, and we'll start getting partying, right? She's kind of like, okay, Fireball, kind of intense for a dinner date, but sure, why not? So she's sitting at the bar. She's just waiting another 10 minutes. And this guy next to her is also just kind of chilling. So they start drumming up some conversation. And this guy's really nice, right? He's kind of good looking too. It's not like he's ugly, right? Like he's not a creep at the bar. He's kind of cute. At this point, she's like, okay, it's way past 10 minutes. You're stuck in traffic. Let me text this guy again. So she texts the original guy back and she's like, hey, are you any closer? And he's like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I got pulled over for a speeding ticket. And now she's probably thinking, what? You were stuck in traffic before, so it was slow, but then you got pulled over for a speeding ticket, so you're going too fast. Like, what doesn't make sense. Make it make sense. Either this guy has got the worst luck or she's getting stood up. But she keeps talking to this guy at the bar. And they're making small talk. She lets him know about her situation. Like, I think I just got stood up by my date. I might get going. But the guy is like, oh, hey, why don't we just get dinner instead? That way your night won't go to waste. And Jez is like, fine, I'm already out. Sure, let's get dinner. Like a little spontaneity never hurt anyone. So they're having dinner, and she notices the waitress is like really attentive. And she's like, what the heck is going on? Like, it's busy here, right? It's dinner time, so it's kind of popping. She's like, well, there's all these other people. Why are you guys really attentive on me? Anyway, she just kind of brushes it off. She's like, whatever, maybe she really wants a good tip. But somewhere in between through dinner, she needs to go to the bathroom, right? So she excuses herself, goes to the bathroom, opens the door, and she's like about to sit on the toilet when someone bursts in and she's like, what the is going on? She looks up, and who is it other than her waitress? She's like, what is going on? But the waitress is like, oh my God, I'm so glad that you stepped away. I have to tell you something. She's like, what could you possibly have to tell me? The waitress is like, I have to warn you. This guy who you're having dinner with has been doing the exact same thing for like weeks, right? It's always 2 shots of Fireball at the bar. He'll kind of start talking the girl up. They have dinner and then they leave. And they never see the girl again. They always see this guy come back. Kind of sketchy. Now, the other thing that kind of makes this sketchy to me is that he always pays in cash. So they don't have a credit card. They don't really know his name. They are just like, okay, great. You could have given us a fake ID or something. At this point, Jez is like, you just dropped this bomb of information on me. And now you expect me to just go out there like nothing happened, like chill. He has my purse at the table and my phone. So what am I supposed to do with this? This random potential murderer has access to my personal information right now. They're both kind of freaking out. They're like, oh my God, what do we do? But eventually Jez is like, okay, you know what? This is cool. It's fine. We can do this. So she's like, I'm going to play it cool. We're going to go back. We're going to pretend like everything is okay. And then eventually he'll leave. Which is like smart thinking, right? I mean, I wouldn't want to go home with some random guy. And if they step out together at nighttime and he follows her to her car, that's a sketchy situation in and of itself, too. So, totally agree with her on this one. She's just going to wait it out. After they're kind of done with their food and she's like, okay, leave. He's kind of jonesing to get her to a second location, like somewhere else, like whether it's let's come back to my place for drinks. Oh, let's go out to another bar and keep this party going, get more drinks. And she's like, no, 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 leave me alone. At first, her kind of shutting him down on this idea was polite, but then eventually she's more firm in her answer of like, no, I'm not going anywhere else with you. We just had dinner. Thank you. Leave me alone. And he starts getting aggravated at this point. He starts to raise his voice and kind of demands that she come with him. But she holds strong. She's like, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm not coming with you. Leave me alone. And then eventually he just gets really pissed and leaves. Like I said, his demeanor was aggressive. His voice was starting to get loud. So kind of a scary situation. Eventually, like I said, he leaves. She's kind of shaken up because, of course, this is scary. Luckily, after the bartender's shift was over, she offered to walk her to her car. And luckily, Jez made it home safe and sound. Thank goodness. Well, Jez gets home and she's like, okay, that was the most sketchy fucking situation I've been in. And she's like, oh crap, maybe this guy is tied to the original Plenty of Fish account that I had seen. So she tries looking the guy up again and she finds that this profile has been disconnected. So yeah, very sketchy. So that's like a pretty brief account of what happened. The Crime Junkies podcast went more in depth, and I believe so did the Something Was Wrong podcast. But anyway, after the Crime Junkies episode aired, hundreds of women came forward and said that like a similar situation had happened to them. But all of these women said they never went home with the dude. For whatever reason, these women just weren't into the idea of like going home with a guy that they had just met, which makes sense, or they were warned by bar staff or wait staff. So there really isn't an account of like what happened to these women who had gone back with one of the guys. So we don't know if it was a very sketchy situation or if it was just like a pickup artist kind of scam. And that's what kind of made me torn. So let's run through the 2 theories that I had seen. So the one group overwhelmingly seemed to think that there was something sinister happening here, right? And that was the main group of like the Crime Junkies folks. People just seemed like they're like, what the fuck is going on here? This is sketchy. They're trying to pick up women. Uncool. The Crime Junkies hosts also even brought up the idea of a possible human trafficking scheme. The podcast listeners' arguments were that the girl ordering 2 shots would be a signal to the guy at the bar who would later swoop in to be Mr. Nice Guy or whatever. She might even drink one or both of the shots, which would lower her inhibitions. She might be more susceptible to whatever sinister motives this guy has in store, like trafficking or SA, unfortunately. Personally, I had some questions. Not because I'm questioning the weird vibes all these women were getting from these creeps. I totally believe that these guys were, at the very least, weird as hell. However, I'm not quite convinced that it's all a giant underground human trafficking operation. If there's just many, many random women on dating apps who are just going missing, Don't you think people would pick up on that? Like if hundreds of women were being snatched from a particular profile, don't you think it could be traced back to that profile? Or even a bar, or a restaurant or whatever. Like this man was taking his victims to the same place. So don't you think that it would be able to be tied back to that same place of all these people are going missing from here? No, I thought it was a little fishy. So I was looking for other perspectives. So I went somewhere where you can always find a devil's advocate. That's right, Reddit. Now, a lot of people on Reddit were not quite convinced about this sex trafficking theory, right? Because the exact reasons that I brought up. The general consensus was that this was a bad pickup scam. Someone says, it's not some rape and murder scam, it's just a cheap tactic for a pickup. Nothing here but the bar version of the satanic panic. Another person said, I heard about this pickup artist tactic when I was in college. Get a girl out alone, feeling vulnerable, and then swoop in and get laid. Ugh, that's disgusting, but okay. Seems definitely more scummy, but also more believable. It's disgusting that these people would think that there's some kind of obligatory sexual encounter tied with just giving someone some kind of empathetic response when they're feeling sad. Certainly, this theory seems more believable to me than this giant underground sex trafficking ring that nobody knows about. So, that's where my opinions lie more. The only thing that made me feel a little hesitant still, though, is that this guy paid in cash. Like, why would you need an alias? You know? I guess he could be married. I don't know. I don't know. That just seems like so much work, you know? Like, why? Why? Just be yourself. Who cares? Stop being an incel. It's weird. This was a little bit different video than I have been doing. But I don't know. At first I was like, "Oh, this is really intense. I want to warn people about this." And then it just kind of fizzled out and my feelings were like, "Ooh, that doesn't seem quite as serious as I thought initially." But who knows? You might have a different opinion. If you do, please let me know. I would love to hear what you have to say. That is all I have for you on the whole Operation Fireball situation. Let me know if you have any thoughts in the comments. Definitely leave a like and subscribe if you want. It helps my channel a lot. And I'll catch you in the next one. Bye!